boys and girls of estate agency in the UK and real estate agents in Australia. I am joined by the Queen of Real Estate. That's estate agency to UK people. The Queen of Real Estate in Australia, Lisa Novak. Lisa, thank you for joining me today.
Thank you.
Pleasure. The pleasure is all mine. And as I said, when Lisa Novak contacts you and says she wants to chat, you drop everything and you say you don't ask questions.
I love that. I even dusted off my tiara there for you, Chris. You can see if I hover properly, there's actually a tiara above my head there.
Okay, so you are in North Sydney and you are an estate agent, real estate agent.
Right.
Love that part of the world. I actually went over to Manly Beach about 20 years ago. So there you go. Talk about small world. But anyway, people don't care about my travels. The purpose of today's call is, can social media replace the portals when selling homes? Talk to me.
Yeah. Look, it's something that social media was something I stumbled upon 3 years ago. I came into real estate sales just 3 years ago. I'd always been in the background of our business, but there was a lot that I saw, Christopher. I thought there's just no other option out there for these vendors. There is no true $0 marketing. And I know you guys over in the UK, you agents, you pay for the marketing. I understand that, but the money comes from somewhere, right? There was really no true $0 marketing strategy. And then we had this wonderful tool called social media that was right there at our disposal, yet it was extremely underutilized. And I had a vendor very early on contact me and say, look, I don't have any money for marketing. I don't want to do a big auction campaign. He was terminally ill and he was given 2 weeks to live. And I thought, I've got my iPhone. I've got my Facebook page. I wonder if I could just go and do a quick, raw, authentic video and get that out onto my social media and see if maybe I can get some eyeballs. Anyway, long story short, I very quickly sold his property that week for a phenomenal price. And it was at that moment that I realized there's a lot of eyeballs on social media. If I can build the right tribe, the right kinds of followers onto my social media, then maybe, just maybe, that's exactly what I'm able to offer to sellers.
Because that's all a portal is. It's just putting the property in front of as many people as possible, isn't it? And if you think about it, we all spend many hours a day on our Facebooks and our Twitters and whatever social media platform we're on. So,
well, interesting that you say that, because if you go onto your iPhone, it'll actually tell you where you spend the most amount of time. It'll tell you the apps where you spend the most amount of time. Now, the real estate portals, I'm a real estate agent, and the real estate portals did not even come in the top 10 of my most commonly used apps. All right. It was Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, WhatsApp. So I just followed the eyeballs.
I mean, people are going to say, well, if someone's looking on Facebook and they're looking at pictures of their children, their grandchildren, they're not looking for property. Whilst if they go onto the portals, they've got a mindset that they are looking for property. So, can you really sell houses and let houses through putting an advert on Facebook?
Yeah, so it's not so much about putting an advertisement there. That certainly does work. I think the niche that I cut out for myself in the market was I was putting out onto my social media raw, authentic video content, short little sharp videos, but I was giving my tribe, what I call my tribe, my followers, things that they couldn't find anywhere else but on my social media. So buyers that wanted the sneak peek on property before they launched out to those real estate portals, if they follow my social media, that's where they'll get to see it first. So I very quickly started to realize that if you build up the right kinds of followers on your social media, i.e. the buyers, then you will build up those followers.
So it isn't just a case of just chucking adverts out, and as you say, adverts do work. It's a case of creating compelling, interesting, intriguing content that people want to follow you, and if people follow you, then your content will appear on their social media stream. Is that what we're talking about?
Absolutely. And not only that, look, here's the thing. The whole followers thing is actually fake news. You don't need 10,000 followers to do this. You just need a few hundred of the right types of followers. That's a really important point, because those followers, trust me, they will tag and they will share with their friends if they see a property that someone likes, they would tag that with one of their friends, or they'll share it. So you don't need thousands and thousands of followers for this. I learned that quickly.
So really what you're doing is you're getting your followers to almost do your work for you, and actually sharing it with the people they know. So instead of having one Lisa Novak flying around the Sydney area, we have lots of mini-me's flying around of Lisa Novaks, basically sharing stuff out. So really, are you saying that numbers are almost vanity, the likes and the shares and all that malarkey?
They are. They're fake news. I can tell you that now. You know, look, I'm fortunate. I've built up a lot of followers over 3 years. But when I first started out, I didn't have that many followers. In fact, it was a lot of my friends that were on there, who now don't follow my social media because most of them don't want to buy properties. But, you know, you've got to be building up the right kinds of followers. Now, when you give people the content that they want to see, so we just had a quick chat off air, Christopher. Stock is scarce over in the UK, is that correct?
It is very scarce, probably in the order of around 40 to 50% lower than it was, you know, 2 or 3 years ago.
Okay, and you got a lot of buyers around, so more buyers.
Yeah, it's crazy at the moment. And what is quite interesting, Lisa, is because the market is so buoyant at the moment, people are very good at, you know, even a monkey could sell a house at the moment. You know, you just whack it on Rightmove, take a photograph, and off you go. My biggest fear is not the harvest that you're bringing in now; it's the seeds that you're planting now to harvest in a year or 2 years' time when the market gets tough.
Yeah, that's exactly right, and that's often what defines the boys from the men. Really, it does. You know, because you're quite right. In a boiling hot market, any agent can open the door and sell a property, for the most part. But in saying that, if stock is scarce and you've got a lot of buyers, do you not think that if you're going to put a property out onto your social media and say, guys, do you want to see this property first before it goes out onto the real estate portals? Great. All you've got to do is follow my social media. You'll get the opportunity to see and buy it first if you would like.
Okay, so we're talking about fear of missing out, FOMO, which is a very powerful emotion when it comes to human beings. Now, in terms of, you know, for those of you that haven't met Lisa before, I mean, Lisa has been voted, I think you're in the top 50 real estate agents in the world, and I think you've also got another award recently, haven't you?
Most innovative real estate agency in the country.
That's from Australia, and let's be honest, we do put you Aussies on a pedestal when it comes to estate agency. So, I mean, and you're talking at the ARIC conference, which basically is, if you can think of the UK, basically all the conferences put together, thousands of real estate agents in one room. Is it actually in person this year in Australia, ARIC?
It is. It's going to happen. Yes, it is. It's actually coming up in about 5 weeks' time.
You've got Gary Vee and Elle Macpherson talking there, haven't you?
We do. Wow. Yeah.
Look, you wouldn't get that in the UK.
It is a big deal. It's actually a big honour to be able to speak in front of 4,000 real estate agents. It really is. And I will be talking about selling on social media. So I'm the #1 agent in the country for selling and listing property on social media. So for those agents that are watching, hear this, guys, 95% of my appraisals are generated now as a result of my social media. So I'll get about 5 to 6 appraisals a day as a result of it.
So you're getting, because you're actually being proactive in selling houses and saving your clients money by not using the portals, an indirect benefit or an indirect outcome from that is that the vast majority of your valuations are coming, and I'm going to hazard a guess. I bet fees aren't an issue either, are they?
No. So I actually do what's called a Flexi Fee. This is quite interesting. So I do a range, and I'll be really transparent with what that is. It sits between 1.65% and 1.99% plus GST. So I give my vendors a range of what they would like to pay, and they can pay me whatever they would like once we're successfully sold within that range. And I can tell you now, I'm most of the time paid toward the top end, because commission no longer becomes a thing. You know, when you're going out to people, Christopher, and you're saying, listen, let's try it a different way. It may work, 70% of the time it does. But if it doesn't, we've always got the backup of those real estate portals. You know, they're over the moon that you were able to give them another option.
Okay, so 70% of your properties sell without the need for a portal.
Correct.
Do you think that you'll ever have a point where you will actually be brave enough to drop the portal?
No, because every customer's needs are different. All right. And it's important as an industry that we listen to what the needs of our consumers are. So some consumers are price driven, some are time driven, and some are both. So depending on what the needs of my consumers are, depends on how I execute my strategy. So my plan A is going out to my social media. It's my $0 marketing strategy. All right. And I now know that that works really well for about 1 to 2 weeks. And then it loses its dazzle. The portals do as well, to be fair. If I don't have that knock your socks off offer there, then I will actually launch it out to the real estate portals. There are times when I do run them both consecutively.
Okay, but in Australia, the homeowner pays for the portal, whilst in the UK, the estate agent pays for the portal. Do you think there'll ever be a time where UK estate agents will be able to solely go through the social media way and drop the portal completely? Do you think?
Yes. Okay, so let me answer you this. If I rewind 3 years ago and then fast forward 3 years, what has changed with how I sell property is mind-blowing. You know, I think we cannot deny the force of digital. It's huge. Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. Look how fast technology's changed, Christopher, in 3 years. I would suggest the answer is yes. I think if you look at what Facebook are doing with Marketplace, I think that's where the answer lies. And, you know, these days when you're on your mobile phone, you're looking for a barbecue and next minute your whole feed's full of barbecues. Same thing's going to happen with property.
I mean, certainly it's all about telling the story, and I certainly wouldn't recommend any estate agent just dropping the portals and starting what Lisa does the next day. What you almost need to do is prove your worth, prove the story with using social media, and then in a couple of years' time, you could probably drop the portal because you've already told a great story by saying, look, every other agent goes on, you know, our biggest portal is Rightmove, but I've been able to sell these houses, twice as quick as anyone else for 5% more money, which is an extra £10,000 in your back pocket. You have to prove that it works because the people's perception is, oh, I've got to go on the portal, haven't they? But I'm sure early doors that you had to prove that to people. Was that difficult?
Without a doubt. Prove it to people, prove it to the industry, because it was almost like I remember when I did my first video on Facebook and put it out and thought, how awesome, I'm just going to do this because what else am I going to do? I want to help this vendor. He was terminally ill. He had no money for marketing. He wouldn't take any money for marketing. I didn't have another option. The industry had no other option, right? And I remember doing my first video and having a real estate agent call me and say, what are you doing? And I was like, what do you mean? She said, you're embarrassing the industry. We don't real estate this way. And I was like, wow, all I'm doing is just trying to help someone. There's eyeballs on there. Now, isn't it what? This was never I'm going to show our biggest portal here is realestate.com. It was never, I never went in, just fell into this. And I never went into it saying, I'm going to, compete with realestate.com. It was just, there's nothing else for the vendors. Like, surely there must be an option.
Okay, so so basically the plan is to, number one, start doing the videos and the content. Don't drop the portal from day one. Now you said earlier on it's all about the content. So most estate agents' content on social media basically revolves around, look at us, we're brilliant. Look at what we've sold. Look at our market share. We're brilliant. We're marvelous. Look at us. I'm assuming that is the sort of content that really works, doesn't it?
So here's the thing. No. Okay. Look, putting a sold sticker up on a board is wonderful. It's validation that you're doing your job.
Yeah.
But it doesn't really help people. So, if you really want to help people and build a tribe of followers, actually listen to what people want. So at the moment in the UK, stock is scarce and there's a ton of buyers. So as I mentioned earlier, if you just give buyers the option to be able to see and buy property before it gets onto Rightmove, do you not think that you're going to build up a tribe? People will love you for it.
And you give videos on other tips on how to be a better buyer or how to be a better seller. You talk about how to solve problems and issues as well. So you're not just doing videos of, hi, I have a property to sell. You're also giving as well as trying to sell, aren't you?
Absolutely. You know, this is the thing. As real estate agents, we are the best storytellers in the world. Put us into a pub and we'll be able to talk to every single person in that pub, right? We're salespeople. You put a camera in front of someone and all of a sudden they become a mute. We have so much information to give that is common knowledge to us and is not common knowledge to the world. Like, how do I buy a property? What are the options? How do I make an offer? You know, there's so many things that we can teach people.
Okay, but the elephant in the room here, Lisa, is most people, what you put this in front of someone and they clam up because they're worried about what people will think about them. They'll look silly. I mean, you know, in real life, I'm really only, 8 stone, which is, a matter of a handful of kilograms. And the cameras just put on these pounds, and I sound funny and I look funny. And people are scared what people will say about them and make derogatory comments. Weren't you scared about all these things?
It was something more than that for me, because I had a vendor who needed me. He was terminally ill. So I didn't really have an option. So I just had to put on my big girl pants and go and do what I felt I had to do for that client. So it was no longer about me. It was about them. And when I started realizing that, like truly realizing that this is not about me, people aren't judging me, I have a job to do, that's when things started to really change for me. That whole fear of getting over being on the camera, it's more than that. It's people are worried that they're being judged. And I understand that, but we have a job to do. We've got an obligation.
How did you feel when that agent rang you up and said you were embarrassing the industry?
Humiliated. I mean, I remember calling up my husband, Mark, and saying to him, I don't know what to do. Like, I was new in real estate sales, and I was like, oh my God, I've made a fool of myself. And so I actually went to delete the video off Facebook and then thought, hang on a sec, this vendor needs me to do this. Like, I don't have another option here. So that's when I kind of rose above it and thought, no, and where it actually really validated for me was when I sold the property that week off my Facebook and sold it for a phenomenal price and saw how it had changed the lives for that family.
Screw you, other real estate agent. So the phone call is pretty serious, but have you had any derogatory comments on social media?
All the time. Yeah, look, they're few and far between now, I'll be honest, because it kind of went from, people laughing initially in the industry like, that's cute, she's selling property off her social media, to, can you train us on how to do this? It seems to be a real thing now. So the table's definitely turned. You get trolls. I'm sure you do. You're
no one unless you got a troll. I mean, to be honest with you, I'm sure you get it as well, that it is how do you deal with those trolls? Do you just ignore them?
So most of the time, it depends what mood I'm in. Most of the time I will just ignore them because it's not dollar productive. I am really, really busy, so I don't have time to engage. If I feel that they've actually said something that's really derogatory, maybe about the property, I will just say, something like, please have some respect. It's someone's home. And often that'll set off all my followers, my tribe. It's almost like an attack, and they generally sort that troll out for me. I find if you're respectful, generally that'll just get rid of them.
I actually don't mind trolls because I don't take it personally. In fact, I pity them. I empathise with them. In fact, sometimes they could actually be right. So sometimes you want to listen to them. But to take it personally is the worst thing, because if they've got enough time out of their busy day to watch your video and then put a derogatory comment, you've just got to wonder where they are in their head, and you have to pity them that they do that. Again, if it's coming from a place of hate, they might, they might actually be saying but someone disagreeing with you is not trolling, is it? It's the troll, it's the hate.
It depends what the comment is. But the wonderful thing about social media is if you don't want to see me come up on your feed, you can just click unfollow. It's that simple. I can't do the same thing with a TV commercial, right? I've got to mute it or I've got to switch to another channel. So, and you don't call Coca-Cola and say, oh my God, you're on my TV channel again, right? So but they have the option on social to just unfollow.
Of course they have. So, okay, so we've got talking to some estate agents. Let's go through some tips, let's almost, I'm going to get all the goodness that you're going to be talking to those 4,000 real estate agents. I want them on this now for the people that are watching this. So you're going to be doing, what's the first things we need to be doing? I mean, are we just doing videos on the properties we're selling, or are we doing other videos?
So, okay, so what you want is you want my secret herbs and spices. That's what you're after. Okay, all right. So I'll give you guys a few tips, all right? But they're only going to work if you use them. They're not going to work. Unfortunately, it's like losing weight. You can't just lose weight. You've actually got to diet and exercise. Social media is the same. So here's the thing. First of all, you've got to be doing raw, authentic video content. Don't worry about doing the fancy Hollywood-style production videos. Social media does not like those. And you've got to be
just for yourself, in essence. You don't. I've seen so many people that are saying, "Well, I need to put fancy graphics on and logos and things." No,
Yeah, and don't use filters. You don't need all that stuff. That's for you. People don't care for all that kind of stuff. They actually want to.
I use filters. I have to actually be fatter. I use the Instagram fatter filter because really in real life I am literally.
Is that a beard filter?
I'm only 70 kilos or 10 stone in real life, but for everything else, I just have to have that plumper filter. People do like fatter people. Go on. I'm pulling your leg.
So guys, you got to be doing the raw, authentic video content. Now, they should only be about 60 seconds long. If you're giving people the really good goods that they want to watch, they'll keep watching for hours if you want. We can sit and watch a movie for 2 hours. So, if that's what we enjoy watching. So if they enjoy watching it, they'll sit and watch it for as long as you like. I generally do a 30 to 60 second video using just my iPhone.
And you're doing it on Instagram and Facebook, are you?
Instagram and Facebook. You've got to be going live.
Okay.
You've got to be going live. The analytics will love you for it. Social media, they'll reward you for going live, and then save that live video. It'll pop into your camera roll and you can reuse it later. No one said you only have to post the same property once.
Okay, so we're at a property. We are doing a quick 60-second sneak peek coming soon. If you know anyone that is looking for a 3-bedroom semi-detached house in this estate, tag them and let me know, and do the same on Facebook. And then when you get back to the office, probably put that in and probably just edit it and crop it. People will say, I haven't got time to edit and crop it.
They don't have time to do that?
Well, they're going to say that. We all know damn well that you can edit a 1-minute film on an iPhone in literally 2 minutes.
So you don't need, there's nothing to edit. Just
you don't even need to edit, boys and girls. So, so apart from the videos that you're doing on the properties, the sneak peeks, and then the bit more of the posher ones, did you know the word posh comes from Australia?
Does it?
Yeah. Basically, when a boat used to leave to go to Australia, people wanted to be on the port. If you think about it, a boat's going from England to Australia. You want to be on the left-hand side of the boat because the sun's on the right, because that's facing the equator. Yeah.
Yes.
So therefore, when you went out, you would want to be on the port side out, because the sun was always on the right, the starboard side. And that would always be the hottest. So as the boat was going around Africa and around India to Australia, you would be port side going out because that's the cooler side of the boat. And on the way home, you'd want to be starboard side of the boat because the left-hand side or the port side was facing the sun on the equator. So it means port out, starboard home, posh.
Wow.
There you go. There you go.
Look at that.
There you go. And now look at you, full of convicts, all of you. Look at you. Okay. So, apologies, boys and girls. Lisa and I have known each other for a couple of years, and we just have a bit of laugh and banter. I do apologise, but no, we're not apologising, are we? Because we get on well. Okay, so we're doing the properties, we're doing the sneaky peeks. What else? Other content are you doing?
So look, there's tons, because just remember this, we have so much information as real estate agents that we think is just common knowledge, and it's not. Okay, so at the moment, you guys have got a red hot market over there. You've got no stock and you've got a ton of buyers. Why don't you just give buyers the 5 top tips on how to buy a property in a roaring hot market?
And also you could do the 5 top tips for sellers, the mistakes that sellers make.
Correct. So, you know, it could be the different ways that you can buy a property. You know, there's just so many things. I mean, there's no end of, you know, I've done 3 years worth of content.
Do you interview people? It's all about the community, you know. Saint Tom Panos, oh man, he was doing some videos. He was doing in his brand, and he was talking about videos, and he said interview people in the local community. Do you do those sort of videos?
I probably don't do enough of that, to be honest. But it is a really good way to start out. That's a great way to start out. You know, go and interview the person at the local fruit shop or at the local pub, or, you know, go and interview them. They're storytellers, these people. You know, it is a great way to start out.
Good stuff. And any other secret herbs and spices for the boys and girls watching this?
Let's talk about consistency, because you said to me before, what if people don't have time? Now, this is really interesting, all right, because this is a form of prospecting as well. I mentioned earlier on in the interview, 95% of my appraisals are now generated off my social media. So, you know, when we say we can't be consistent, if you want it to work, you need to be consistent. So for me, it's 3 to 5 hours a day on my social media. That's uploading, and that's answering comments and all the bits and pieces that I need to on there. For you guys starting out, 15 minutes a day. That's it. 15 minutes a day, but you've got to do it every day.
You have to do it every day. I mean, to be honest with you, you know, I agree. There's one thing you can always guarantee is that Watkin will have a video on LinkedIn whenever you log in. But it's the consistent. I see people starting these things and not carrying through, but it's like losing weight. You've got to keep doing it. And eventually the snowball will appear. And people are going to say you haven't got time, but what if your competitor does this and they become the next leader in their town?
Absolutely. So you may not have time, but your competition will, and they will take over here. So what has happened with, you know, from when I started in social media now to 3 years later, I honestly cannot believe it.
Have you had to delegate some of your work to enable you to do this?
Yeah. So there's a lot of companies that do the whole social media thing. I don't use any of those. I don't like to. I like to be able to do all my stuff myself. So you will know that, you know, that is me on there. That is going to be me answering your inquiry. But I guess because I was the one that started this, I didn't actually know how I was going to manage the back end of it all. I didn't have anyone to turn to help me. So I have started to get one of my assistants sometimes answering my inquiries for me, because I get a lot. And that part of it, we're just managing a little bit better. Yeah.
I tell you what I find interesting is some people say, well, I could use scheduled posts using Hootsuite and other things, but I don't know if you found this, but if it's like LinkedIn and Facebook know that it's a scheduled post, because I have a post that, let's just say I post it every three months, and I can guarantee you it will get so many views and so many comments. You know, they're my classic, you know, posts. But if I actually schedule it, I probably only get a quarter. So I think
really,
yeah, I find that fascinating that the more I schedule, even my best of the best posts that I roll out every 3 or 4 months, you can say, well, surely, well, look, because nothing changes. I find it bombs in my eyes.
That's interesting. So for me, like, I don't do any of that. I just post whenever I want to post.
You know, and you can.
Just post whenever.
Yeah, what I have is like probably 20 stories on my notes section in my iPad, and when I've got 5 minutes, I'll go copy, post, bush.
That's it. And you know, the great thing is you can be sitting on the bus in the morning. You can be...
Darling, you come on, you don't go on a bus, babes, do you?
No, I don't.
Mark let you chauffeured in, babes.
I don't have a chauffeur. No. I'm definitely not. I might look precious, Christopher, but I'm really not. I'm really not precious. I do a lot of stuff for myself, I promise you that. But I must give off that impression that I am a bit precious, because people often say that.
Well, you are the queen. You're the queen. Look at your tiara, babes. Look at your tiara. Okay, we're coming up to half an hour mark. What other tips and guidance apart from consistency and just creating great content?
Consistency, raw, authentic video content. Please don't get hung up on the devices. Don't go out buying a million different devices. You don't need them. So my husband loves anything that's got Apple on it. So I've got every selfie stick and microphone and you name it, I've got it. I don't use any of it, none of it. I use this, my iPhone. That's what I've got with me all the time. And I just hold my arm up with my iPhone because they're the things that I'll use all the time. And just on that, when you're actually filming on the video, you know, doing the video, actually use the phone facing forward like that. A lot of people will make the mistake of swapping the video around and you actually lose engagement. It's awkward to watch. So just hold your phone up and you can swivel around and do your videos like that. It's much easier.
Because some people say, I want to see the property, not the person. I disagree with that. I think that the agent is as important as the property because it's you're selling the home, not the house. Is that a fair comment?
Without a doubt. But like, you know, we don't think about how we watch TV. We're used to watching TV by seeing a person and swapping to an image, seeing a person, swapping. Think about how we watch the news. Yeah. If that was the case, the news reporter would just be a voice in the background.
Yeah, we do. So basically, anyone who's doing a video where it's just them walking around and not in the shot, I'm sorry, guys. I know you're doing video, but you're not doing video. You have to be in the shot, even if it's at the start and at the end. People buy from people, and you know, I mean, I don't know if you have it in Australia, but there's this TV show called Homes Under the Hammer, where they go and buy properties at auction and then do it up, and then sell it. And watch those, and the person's in the shot sometimes. Then we see the voiceover in the back. Follow that.
Absolutely. Actually, I just did a TV show. I think you guys get it over in the UK called House Hunters. Do you know that show?
Do.
Yeah.
I mean, the wife watches all that. I'm too busy doing social media and doing video, babes, to do that. But Joanne, senior management, as we call her, as my clients know her, senior management. She keeps an eye on all those things. Any other tips before we go?
Minister of Private Affairs, I think is the title. Yeah. Any other tips? So again, you know, the followers, it's fake news. Please do not worry about how many followers you have. People say, oh, but what if I've got no one watching? Well, guess what? I thought I had no one watching as well when I sold that first property off my Facebook page. People watch. Somehow Facebook and Instagram have this very amazing way of being able to force your content onto people's feeds. All right, so don't get caught up on that. You only need a couple of hundred of the right types of followers. All right, you don't need 10,000 followers. Don't go buying followers. All right, because they're not going to buy a property off you. So make sure when you give people the content that they want, I promise you they will start to follow. But you've got to be consistent with this type of stuff. You've got to be consistent with it. It's really important.
Lisa, how do people follow you on the social media, on the Facebook and now the Instagram? Just give you a shout out for your tags on there so they can follow you.
Very good. So my Insta is Lisa Novak _Novak Properties. That's my Insta handle. And you can find me on Facebook with the same handle or just Lisa Novak. Now, that's actually just on that. This is a really important point because people have got obviously their private Facebook page, and then they've got their business page. You guys will need a business page on Facebook if you don't have one. And, you know, a lot of people say, I don't know what to do with like my page, my private page. I started mirroring both of mine. Because people would do exactly that, Christopher. They'd go on and like look up Lisa Novak, find my private page, and I didn't want them like, you know, seeing me dancing on a table, drinking gin and tonics on a Saturday night. So I started mirroring the two of them, and I think that's really important to do.
It's interesting. I've gone the other way, and I put everything on my personal profile. But if I have a picture which I feel is not appropriate for everyone else, I'll just change the tag to friends only. And I've also set it that you can actually, if anyone tags you on a picture, so if you are drinking gin and tonics at 2 a.m. and someone tags you on a photograph, you can have permission to add it to your timeline, because I think it's important to show the real person as well as use the agent. But if you're that appreciate people got children and things, you can set different privacy levels. So just be smart. Lisa, you've been an absolute legend. Your legend status in the UK is brilliant. This video has been very helpful for agents in UK, and hopefully if there's some Aussie real estate agents out there, I hope that's been helpful for you. I wish you well at ARIC. I wish I was with you. I do intend to come to ARIC in a couple of years' time. It's a shame that Gary, I know what Gary Vee is going to talk about. It's going to be absolutely amazing, because his thoughts on the real estate industry haven't changed in the last few years. He's going to be talking about the digital mayor being the go-to local person. Tom went over and saw him a couple of years ago, didn't he? Tom Panos.
Yeah.
Love that guy to bits. Lisa, thanks for your time today. You've been an absolute legend. And
thanks for having me.